Hello, everybody. Welcome to another PODFIC by yours truly, Hollow Audio. Today we'll be reading a story from the Batman fandom, one of my favorites, as I'm sure y'all are starting to pick up on. Anyways, I hope y'all are doing well. Today we'll be reading Next Tuesday by Caicie. That is Caicie, if anybody was wondering. The ratings for this is general audience. Archive warnings are no archive warnings apply. Category is Gen, fandom, Batman, all media types. Relationships are Tim Drake and Jason Todd. Characters are Tim Drake and Jason Todd. Additional tags are mentioned Jack Drake, bad parent Jack Drake, crack treated seriously, touch-starved Tim Drake, Jason Todd is Red Hood, Tim Drake is Robin, Tim Drake-centric, Tim Drake needs a hug, he does not get one. Good sibling Jason Todd, sort of, freeform. Implied/referenced child abuse, concussions, Jason Todd is a theater kid, not to be taken seriously. Titan Towers AU, alternative universe, different first meeting, Tim Drake needs love, protective Jason Todd, and injured Tim Drake. The language is English. Again, this is Next Tuesday by Caicie. The summary. Tim has a concussion, and Jason wants things to stop going off script. Okay, starting. Tim had met a lot of jerks in his time on Earth, but the one in front of him had to be the biggest. Are you serious? I asked for a cup of coffee. No reply. He grit his teeth and narrowed his eyes. I see how it is, huh? I take care of you, I provide for you, I offer you love, and this is what I get in return? This disrespect? This blatantly toxic attitude? I can't believe you! Behind him, the door to the kitchen opened, but Tim refused to be the loser of this staring contest. He waved off whoever had just entered. I'll be done in a second, just wait, he said to the new person before focusing. Now, what was I saying? Oh, right. I cannot believe that I have given so much for you and you can't be tasked with getting me a cup of coffee. It's literally what you're for, and you refuse? I'm willing to forgive a lot, but this is unforgivable. The person behind him made a sound of disbelief. Are you scolding the coffee machine? Tim finally lifted his eyes to glance at the person, trailing his gaze over the armor, guns, bat symbol, and red helmet. He raised his eyebrow. I really don't see how this is any of your business, he finally said. Red Hood stared blankly for a few seconds before sighing and muttering something that sounded like replaced by a knockoff Willy Wonka. Tim made an offended noise. I wanted to... Ugh! I had this whole plan and you ruined it, Red Hood declared, decidedly grumpy. Tim's eyes went wide before he held out his hand in a placating manner. Whoa, hey, my bad. If you want, we can just... He made a rewinding noise. Go from the top, restart, take two. Red Hood nodded. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Tim turned around and faced the coffee machine once again and waited for his cue. He heard the door open as Red Hood walked back into the hallway, and then, a few seconds later, it opened. Tim whipped around with narrowed eyes, reaching for his bow staff, and promptly collapsed. Oh damn, my bad, Tim groaned. I forgot about the concussion. You can just keep going. I'll just sit down for this part. Red Hood gave him a concerned glance. You sure? When Tim hummed a yes, Red Hood nodded and got back into character. He loomed over Tim's fallen body and chuckled lowly, the sound coming out crackling from the helmet speaker. It made Tim shiver. Red Hood dropped into a crouch and cooed. The sound was anything but kind. Aw, did the little birdie get scared? Red Hood sneered. Can't even keep your legs under ya. I suppose you've already realized that you won't be winning this fight, huh? Tim glared. I already lost one today. I won't be losing another. At that, Red Hood paused. Wait, you lost a fight? Like, at school? What? No! Like I would ever lose a fight at school. But then what fight did you lose? You weren't booked for patrol or anything today, I checked. Tim shrugged. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. Just a spat between my dad and I. You said you lost a fight, Red Hood remarked thinly. Not a spat. Did he hurt you? No, Tim paused. I mean, a little, but it's not that big a deal. I thought you had a whole plan. This doesn't really feel like it's part of the plan. That's 'cause it's not. Where'd he get you? Tim shrugged. Threw a glass at my head. Not the worst he's done. I just have to suffer a goose egg and a few cuts for a little while. A goose egg? Red Hood repeated. Who says goose egg unironically? I do, Tim frowned. Whatever. You think you got a concussion? Hood asked, shifting closer. Tim let Hood inspect the back of his head, closing his eyes at the feeling of physical contact. He almost melted when Hood's fingers ran through his hair, checking for a bump. The hand paused before Hood lifted Tim's head to give him an incredulous look he could feel through the helmet. Tim flushed. Probably mild, Tim replied, avoiding eye contact. So that's why the lights are off, Hood murmured to himself before sighing. After a moment's consideration, he unlatched his helmet and put it up on the counter. Tim blinked rapidly. Wow, this is probably a weird thing to say, but you look just like my childhood idol who I used to follow around and take photos of. He died, though. Red Hood gave him a look of utter bewilderment and maybe a bit of fear. Tim's face lit up. Yeah, just like that, except you have the skunk streak and Jason didn't. Red Hood's reaction was immediate. A skunk streak? He shrieked. I do not have a skunk streak! Tim looked at the coffee machine like it was a camera from the office. Touchy subject, obviously, he muttered. Shut up, it's a good look. Red Hood ran a self-conscious hand through his hair before scowling. Tim nodded. No, yeah, it's hot, but still. Red Hood's face scrunched up. I don't know whether to be pleased or horrified. Aren't you like 13? I'm 16, I'll have you know. That makes it so much worse. That's fair. They sat in silence for a few minutes before Red Hood stood up. He grabbed his helmet and pulled out his phone, doing a couple of things before putting it away. He looked down at Tim. So this obviously didn't work out as planned, but I had a whole thing prepared and I worked really hard on it, so... Next Tuesday? He offered. Tim nodded. Yeah, I'll be here. Red Hood gave him a thumbs up and headed for the door. He stopped just before leaving. Oh, and you'll be down a father figure next time, so I better not find you injured again. Tim pursed his lips. Is that negotiable? Which part? The dad part. No. Okay. What about the injured part? Also non-negotiable. Tim made a face, but didn't push it. Fine. Good. Red Hood waved a short goodbye. See you next Tuesday. Yeah, bye, Hood. Tim waited a few more minutes before turning back to the coffee machine. Now, where were we? All right, that has been another fic by Hollow Audio. Again, this was Next Tuesday by Caicie. As always, I will have the link to the fic itself below. Give them a like, a kudos, a comment, anything of the sort. And as always, I love hearing from y'all, so if you'd like to leave a comment, I would really appreciate it. That being said, I will see you when I see you next. Until then, farewell.